All right, guys, so I'm calling this episode this little recap of Married at First Sight. Blink twice because I believe there's a couple of marriages where people are being held against their will, probably just because of the project itself and trying to continue the process, but we'll talk about it. Now, let's talk first about Allison, just brief recaps. Allison, which is Alan and Madison, I slipped up and said that by mistake, and it's like, well, maybe I should keep that. Alan and Madison, Allison. So, they're not really that tight for me to even put their names together because they're still having their issues of just connecting in a romantic way. They seem to get along as friends, and they supposedly had a good night together at a bar watching a football game, but he was drinking a bit and he decided to go home to sleep for that night, and she was upset that he was drinking and driving. So that was an issue for her, and Dr. Pepper talked with them later about that. It kind of talked with all the couples about their past, about things growing up, trying to unveil some things of why they may be the way that they are. Alan kind of questioned, he's making these changes about himself, and he's trying to see if she'll ever feel a connection, whether he's making the changes or not. He's not seeing any progress within their relationship. But again, they're staying in it for the process, and I probably would too. I mean, if you made the big commitment of marrying someone, I would try to see it through to the end. I don't know if it's any hope for them, but the process continues on. Juan and Carla, they kind of bond over sushi, and the first tray of sushi looked kind of good to me. Never had sushi, not a sushi person. It kind of scares me to eat raw meat. But that first tray looked kind of good, and they were enjoying themselves, and he was telling her about different she was picking his brain. She said she has her handy dandy notebook and she was ready to take these notes about how she can become a good entrepreneur. So he was giving her some tips here and there, and it looks like they were bonding over that. Then the guy comes out with another tray of sushi, and it is shaped like, it looks like it's shaped inside of a bull, and it's like a statue, and inside of each little section was like these raw pieces of meat that looked like raw beef to me. And I was like totally kind of disgusted. It's like, maybe sushi's not for me. Sorry guys, but they were enjoying the sushi and enjoying the conversation. He was hyping her up, saying she could be great at what she's doing and do some amazing things. And then later on, they also go to a Pilates spot that she always goes to as well. There's crystals and other things going on, and she's like introduces him to the owner, and they kind of work out, and things go pretty well. And she said that this lady here is kind of like her mentor, and that's kind of what she wants to be as far as her company and her future dreams. And I did kind of like the idea of what she was trying to do as far as make the salon be not just a salon, but also a Pilates studio and have other things going on. She didn't want to have multiple stations, but just have one workstation. And he was saying, well, maybe you should have multiple workstations because that can help you expand. And just thinking about what I know about some of the salons, at least in the Black community, is they are some where they have multiple stations and each person kind of rents out their own station. So each person is like kind of their own entrepreneur in this one shop. So that would be a good model for her if she can have, people come in that also do hair and rent out their own station, and that will help her pay the bills. So that's an idea, that's a thought there. But I do like the idea of her having like a multifaceted studio with multiple things that she enjoys and she's good at. I think that can work out for her. And Juan seems to be pretty proud of her and seeing what she's doing and her growth, and that he can see she's working towards something. So it looks like that's good for them. Again, the romance, I don't see that being there. I saw the vibe, kind of a vibe and bond when it came to doing these Pilates, the movement of their bodies and all that. But they were just really working out together, and to me, really no intersection came of that. And they're in these different scenarios where romance could take place, but it just never does. And maybe there's a reason for that. I've been hanging out on other people's channels, watching a lot of maps, especially with the recent Ikechi and MM issue and the way the anniversary went and all of that. And people are speculating that Juan and Madison, or I call her Mads, may have gotten together because he kind of got into an issue with Alan on one of the previews of future episodes. So we'll see what's true, because a lot of us were speculating that David and Madison were hooking up, but now people are saying it's Juan and Madison. So maybe that's correct. We'll see as we go on in the future, because again, Juan and Carla are having friendship sparks, but not any romantic sparks to speak of. Camille and Thomas, they continue to connect. I believe that Dr. Pepper gets into their past as well and allows them kind of talk about it. And they both get emotional, and they both comfort each other as they're getting emotional. It's talking about their past. And they wrote letters to their younger selves. And this episode was kind of like breaking down the past and, why are we the way that we are because of our experiences growing up and the different traumas and whatnot. So, their bond continues to grow. Michelle and David, they did something similar as well, and I didn't see them get too emotional, Michelle and David, but they just kind of revealed more about their past. And Michelle did continue to talk about how she came from a small town of a meager situation. And, at first sight, people might look at, this Michelle, she's with this man of color, and she comes from white privilege, and that's why she expects him not to be living in his parents' basement. Most women wouldn't, but that's why she's being so hard on him for his life situation and all that, and looking down on him. But in fact, she came from a situation where she didn't have a lot. She talked about the lunch meal tickets where the poor kids, or the kids that didn't have much, they had different tickets than the kids that did. And it just made her stand out and feel embarrassed about her situation and growing up like that. So she has broke trauma. She's traumatized from growing up broke, and she just doesn't want to be connected with anything like that. But in a way, it's kind of messed up, because even when it comes to people, you don't even want to have the semblance of looking like you lack or have nothing because you feel embarrassed. But if you're with a good person, money or not, you should see the riches in what a good person can bring you. And it's not all about money, but she's been so traumatized by even the appearance of looking broke that she doesn't even want to associate with people that look like they don't have much. And I feel that that's kind of sad. And maybe she's not that way with her friends, because I think Alan and Madison, that situation with them, he's saying that he sees Madison light up and act normal around the friends and around the other couples, but she acts awkward with him and it's uncomfortable. Maybe it's different when you are with somebody that's a romantic interest and you have certain expectations. You hold them to different standards. I feel like I've been held to different standards when it came to relationships that I was in. And in a way you do, but I think we should have allowances for people, because they're only human. Just because they're your romantic partner, that doesn't mean they're automatically a superhero, a hero, or a shero. They also have weaknesses as well, and things that they have to work on, and we have to make considerations for that. But I do understand what Michelle is going through, but I do feel like David, in a way, he might want to blink twice, because he's putting up with a lot of insults, and she's not giving him any space or any room to feel like he's anything in the relationship. So Michelle and David also go and look for outfits, and Michelle brings her friend, and they're just trying to spruce up his look. I understand he does wear a lot of sporty things all the time, tanks and all that. And she said when they went to the anniversary dinner that he was wearing a t-shirt. He wasn't wearing a t-shirt. That to me was actually kind of a decent looking shirt that he covered his t-shirt in, but he looked to me presentable. But yeah, you're right. Everybody doesn't have that wardrobe. They don't have that lifestyle. The work he does he may not have a need for those type of items. And, she can help upgrade him in that way. And she mentioned she likes the look of Drake and Travis Kelce. And she likes some of the outfits he wore that looked similar to that. So he picked something from that collection. And he looked nice being spruced up a bit. But yeah, I mean, your person might have different preferences of how they want you to dress and look in different occasions, and that's fine. I feel like it's all the way in the way you present it, and it's kind of fun to go shopping and say, hey, you look good in this, babe. That's a better way than, just saying, hey, you don't look too great. You should look better during this occasion. So in a way, I guess it could make up for, what happened at the anniversary. I don't know if that was her intention or not, but I do think David probably will be blinking twice. He's probably been blinking twice a lot during this whole season. Now with Eminem and Akechi, Eminem meets Dr. Pia alone, and Akechi meets the pastor alone, and they kind of talk things out. And it's really confusing with Akechi. I think he has real struggles with expressing himself and his emotions and thoughts. Because when we go to the after party, Keisha asked him a question, and it's like pulling teeth to get him to actually answer the right question. And Keisha just straight up told him, you answered what you wanted to answer, but you didn't directly answer me of what I actually asked you. So it's frustrating. He's like, yeah. So it's like he doesn't have a comeback, and because he doesn't have a comeback, he'll just say yeah to appease, who's ever hosting or whatnot, or he'll catch attitude because he doesn't know how to express himself. I think that's one of his issues. But, as he's sitting there with Eminem, he looks like he's about to cry. He's freaked out, like he's going to explode. Like, I feel like he should blink twice, definitely, because, I don't know if he wants to be there. But before he sits there with her, he talks to the pastor. The pastor kind of tries to get him to make a connection and talk back with her. And, the pastor and Dr. P are both trying to make sense of it. It's like they're talking for them, and like, can they just talk for themselves? Like, Eminem said she's straightforward, and she's, she talks and says what she has to say. And I get that, but Akechi, I can't catch anything that he's saying. And the only thing that he really catches is an attitude. And it might just be an issue. And she's like, well, Eminem was like, she does want to give him another chance because it may be a defense mechanism. He may not be able to properly express himself, but he just looks, kind of sick sitting next to her. He said that she put him down and made him feel inferior. And there's a lot of stuff that we aren't seeing. Like there's this whole dark side to Eminem that, we have not seen yet. And maybe there's some truth to it. I don't really know. But I know that as they brought the two of them back together, they're still going to try to work things out. And he's like, well, you guys are basically speaking two different languages. The pastor saying he's speaking in an artistic way. He's artistic and creative, and she's thinking more in a scientific way and asks a lot of questions. So I think he was saying, in case she was like, he took her out for just to listen to some music, and she kept asking questions there. So everything just became an interrogation, and she just doesn't know how to chill and relax, and just has a lot of questions. And I do think that Akechi's afraid of questions, and he does have trouble answering them. And I think maybe you just need to give him one question at a time, give him a few days. He might need some time to process that question. So they said, okay, we're going to try to work this out again. And Dr. P is like, you guys, I think he really has to move back in for this to work. he's hesitant, but he's like, okay. It seems like, I feel like somebody's bullying him into doing this, and it's like, honestly, he looks so uncomfortable. I was like, dude, just blink twice, because I mean, you can just walk away from this, but I feel like he doesn't need to walk away. I feel like there's some demons that he needs to, I won't call it demons, but it's some things that he needs to address within himself. And even if he doesn't make it with them, he can be a better man for the next person that he tries to have a serious relationship with, even a marriage with, because he has some really deep-seated, to me, communication issues. And I was waiting for some more crazy stuff to happen, like from last week, and it wasn't that crazy this time. But we're gonna get to some more craziness as they keep showing us and teasing us with these teasers. The craziness is ahead. I guess it's gonna take a few episodes to get there. Actually, next episode, we're gonna see what David's really been up to. And he may be going out on the marriage, but it may not be with Madison. So we'll talk more faith, love, and trends right here on CBiz Media. This is Irene. As I always say, all the best. God bless. Hit me up if you want with your thoughts, comments, questions. Email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. That's cbiztv@yahoo.com. All the best. God bless.